This content is brought to you in association with my buddies over at Jam Jam Cards UK. You can find the links to the eBay store and the Facebook page in the description. Hi guys, it's Joe here from Rufioh. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. You should definitely hit subscribe and the notification bell before you realise how fucking garbage this content is. But if this is not your first time on the channel, welcome back. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the channel, I've been playing PK Fire. You'll already know this. For those of you who are new, I'm playing PK Fire. Here's some information for you. So I'm playing PK Fire for the current format. And we're looking a little bit beyond Burst Destiny. I will have some changes coming in mind with that. With Phoenix Enforcer, we'll talk about that a little bit in a while. What I am going to do is I'm going to go through the profile relatively quickly for those of you who are just here for numbers and ratios and ideas. And then we'll go through in a little bit more detail as to why I've done some of my choices. And what kind of changes I'm going to be looking to make after Burst of Destiny is legal. At the time of recording, it's the pre-release weekend for Burst of Destiny, so a lot of people will be picking up their cards, and by the time this video comes up, we'll be just a few days away from it being legal. I've also got to keep in mind that I have a regional coming up next weekend for which I'll be using some of the Burst Destiny cards, and it's going to change how we have to shape the deck. So I've got some early ideas on what I want to do, some directions I'm considering taking. Some of them might be right, some of them might be wrong, but we'll only find out when we're in the thick of it at Leicester next Sunday. So without waffling on too much more, I'm going to go ahead and get stuck into the profile for you. Okay, so we're going to go through our Phantom Knight package first. So we got triple copies of Torn Scales. This is pretty obvious. Yeah, it does what it does. We've got triple copies of Silent Boots. I think a must play as a 3 of. 2 copies of Ancient Cloak. 1 Ragged Gloves. 1 Stained Greaves. We've got 2, 3 Fog Blades and 1 Shade Brigandine. Next, we've got our BA and Pseudo BA package. We've got Tour Guide. And then we've got just the 2 BAs for this one. 1 Graph, 1 Seer. Danger package of Tsuchinoko and Jackalope. And then some of our other extenders. Triple Kagamucha Knight. Double Junk Forward. Psychic package, we've got Tracker, Wheelader, and 2 E-Telly to go with it. The Red-Eyes package, because I guess you have to if you want to play Dragoon, right? And then hand traps, we've got triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. 2 copies of Nibiru. 1 copy of Ghost Ogre. And then triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. And then onto our other cards to make up the rest of the deck. We've got triple copies of Forbidden Droplet. Triple copies of Crossout Designator. 1 Reinforcement of the Army, and finally a single copy of Call by the Grave. Extra deck, we have Cherubini for the combo. Our Phantom Knight package is double Breaksword and a single Bardiche. Dragoon package. Nightmare package. Our other XC cards. And then finally some of our more utility in our links at the end. And finally onto the side deck we have a single copy of Pancratops. Triple copies of Artifact Lancia. Triple copies of Droll and Lockbird. Back row removal we got double Twin Twisters and a single Harpies Feather Duster. We've got triple Tactic Talents. And then our final 2 cards, Red Reboot and 1 card that should no longer be in the game. So for those of you, again, who were just here for the lists, that is all you need. Now we're going to go back through in a little bit more detail our cards that I think will change. And some of the decisions that I've made. Obviously I won't talk about the stuff that's pretty obvious because there isn't much to cover there. Now, the deck has been trimmed down significantly from my last build, and I suspect I'm going to trim it down further with some of the changes after Burst of Destiny, but we'll get to those at the end. So, well, I'll say at the end. As we go through, we'll talk about them. So, obviously, the Phantom Knight package, I don't think this changes under any circumstances. There's really nothing to change here. The ratios are what they are. I don't think upping any of these is a good idea. For the actual monsters. Fogblade at triple I think is perfect, and a single copy of Brigadine is perfect. There's temptation to play the other sword just so I can resolve it if I find myself in a bit of a pickle. Occasionally you get to a scenario where like you could send it off gloves, say, especially if you've been Nibiru'd, and it's the difference between whether you can make something out of your board or nothing at all. So there's temptation to play it, but I haven't really tested it enough to really argue whether I should or shouldn't. But there we go. Triple Tour Guide and Graph and Seer. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I know a few people play Limit because they want to unbrick their hand, but honestly, I think, again, it's just another brick in and of itself. It's really not necessary, and I think this is absolutely fine. Yeah, sure, there are going to be games where you open cards that you don't want to, like you're going to open the Seer. You just have to take it on the chin. There's not much you can do. And to be honest with you, if you're playing this deck and you're playing Dragoons and you're going to complain about this card bricking, like, honestly, just have a think about it. And we're playing the 2 dangers. You don't need any more than this. They're just 3 level 3s. Triple Kagamuchi, like, there'd be temptation to cut this down just to 2, just to trim the deck a little bit more. But it's fine. It is what it is. The only issue I've got is that people are wise to it now. So a lot of the time, if you normal summon, they'll just change something, especially if they think that you've got something else in hand. So yeah. Double Junk Forward, this is probably going to come out. It doesn't really come up all that often. I think if you're going to play it, you have to play it at 3. And I'm more interested in trimming things because if you see it mid to late game, it's just dead. It doesn't do anything. The Psychic package, we've got Tracker, Wheeler, and then we've got the 2 E-Tellies. I think this is absolutely fine. It is what it is. A lot of the time, I'll side one of these and one of these out if I need to make space for side deck cards. Especially if I'm going second, but when you're going first, it's nice to see this. You basically got 4 ways to get to any level 3 extender, which again is just nice. The Red-Eyes package, now after Burst of Destiny, this is almost certainly going to be going. I know it's a very, very strong package, and I know a lot of people will eye roll at that. Yes, it's a, Omni Negate and all of that, but honestly, I just think this is going to be better. And we'll get to that in a moment, just after I take these away. So yeah, honestly, I think this package is okay, but the amount of times you open like one of these 2, or you see this and it's your only line of play, because if it was another extender, you'd be able to play, but because you don't have another extender, instead you have this, you can't do anything. It's the difference a lot of time between going full combo or just ending on Dragoon instead, which is kind of sad, but that's the reality of the situation. And of course, if you open either of these, they do literally nothing. They are completely unplayable. They are actual literal bricks. So yeah, that package is probably going to go. It is going to almost certainly go in favour of this. Of course, I'll do a profile once I've got the update afterwards. This I'm not sure on just yet. Obviously, Dash has got to go in here as well. I just don't have a copy on me to show you, but this is a card I'm interested in playing. I know a lot of people are playing these 3, this and this, but I think that this is a really good option to consider. It's a free level 3 body, free level 3 extender even, and if you're playing the package already, then there's a good chance that you can see this nice and easy. I'm trying to get focus on my camera. I don't know what's going on here. Certainly doesn't want to play ball, but you get the point. So if it's normal or special summon, you can take one of your Destiny Hero monsters from your deck, graveyard, or banished and place it on the top of your deck. You can only use that effect once per turn. If there's a Destiny Hero on your field or in your graveyard other than Destiny Hero Denier, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. You can only use that effect once per duel. It's a free level 3. It's a warrior, so it's searchable. It's dark, so it goes into a lot of our other things. It's just, I think, a really good option to definitely consider. I'm definitely going to be trying it out and testing it to see how we get on. But worst case scenario, we cut it all together. And honestly, I don't think it's the worst thing to just have this extra 1. It's not even like a full garnet. It's like does something. And this is the difference between this package and the Red-Eyes package, is that, you can at least summon this, or, this is kind of live all the time, or at least as long as you've got targets, to use for it. But I think, honestly, this package is just way better. This eats up a lot of resources from people as well. So, although there's an Omni Negate with trading off for this, honestly, I think that this will do a lot more, especially in the upcoming format. Also, a lot of people are going to be misplaying with this card about timing and activation and all that kind of stuff. So, enjoy sharking people on that, I guess. Sharking probably not the right word, but you get the point. So yeah, honestly, I think this package is just going to be far superior. There is a video I'm going to put down, probably in the comments, and I'll pin it for you. JY Sharif, one of our local guys. Yeah, I don't really need to say much about him. If you really don't know much about Yu-Gi-Oh history, go Google him. You'll see plenty out there. Top player. He does a video exactly on why you should be playing this package over the Red-Eyes Fusion one, in his particular opinion, and in particular about PK Fire, so it's super relevant to today's video. So definitely check that out. Drop him a sub. Just loads and loads of wisdom in there. Well worth a watch. Anyway, moving on from our Destiny Hero package, we move on to our hand traps. We've got triple Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, double Nibiru, and a single copy of Ghost Ogre, and then of course we've got triple Infinite Impermanence below that as well. So in speaking of trimming things down, so This is fine. This is okay because it's a free extender, because you can search it off eTele, but it doubles up as a hand trap. So it's got double application, which makes it not so bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't play this. Triple Infinite Impermanence, I'm tempted to cut down to 2, just again to trim the deck a little bit, because I'm thinking about cutting Cross out, but we'll get to all of that in a moment. So I think 2 of these will be fine. And I'll probably cut Nibiru as well from the main. It's just not necessary, not enough decks get hit by it. And the decks that do get hit normally have a way to recover and do something. So yeah, I don't think it does enough. So I'll probably be cutting that and 1 of these, bringing our hand trap count down to, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 7 it will be in the end. 6. My maths is terrible. But yeah, hand trap lineup, that's pretty much it so far. Again, some changes I consider, but the format's still yet to develop really, so we'll see what happens there. Triple Forbidden Droplet, I think this is great, and it's definitely going to stay at 3. Triple Crossout Designator, I'm considering cutting this all together. There's a lot of times where if this was just an extender, I'd be able to play. And honestly, the logic I had behind this was that I can hit anything that would stop my board from being made. But if you open enough extenders, you're going to play through all those hand traps anyway. Like, you can play through Nibiru and still end on, like, say, a Goon at the moment. There'll obviously be other options going forward, but you can still end on something a lot of the time, even if you do get nibbed, and that's usually your big issue. Unless you're, like, a really unlucky and you get gammed and you've got nothing set for Cherubini, then most of the time you can play through a hand trap anyway. At worst, it'll give you, like, half a board rather than a full board, but the alternative is to play this, not see enough extenders, and then just not play when your normal summon doesn't go through. So this will probably get cut. I dare say this format is going to be absolutely insane, but for the moment, it's just not strong enough. I think we've also been tilted a little bit by the OCG in terms of what we were expecting. You've got to remember they have triple max C, so this is way more impactful and needed. So at the moment, I'm going to cut this out, I think. Again, just to trim down space for the Destiny package. But it's definitely a card I would consider keeping hold of if you've got it already. The prices are bombed enough, and it's only going to go up again if it becomes super relevant. And then our 2 single one-offs, Call by the Grave and Rota, non-negotiable, they have to be in there. Now on to the extra deck. Cherubini, you need it for the combo. This package for the Phantom Knights, self-explanatory, and I don't think you change it. This package, this will stay, this will go. It's entirely up to you whether you want to play this or Phoenix Enforcer. Personally, this is going bye-bye, and I'll be playing Phoenix Enforcer instead. Nightmare package, I think this is really important. This is kind of negotiable because I think you've got other ways to deal with like back row and stuff. And a lot of the decks where you need the back row hate, one pop is not going to be anywhere near enough. So a lot of the time it's going to be game 2 you're worried about anyway. The only real advantage I see of this over like anything else is it can get bodies off the board if you want to, get stuff in the grave. It can get stuff from your discard outlet. But also can help you go up into access code token with an extra pop. So there is benefits there, but it's a question of whether that comes up enough for you versus maybe playing another utility card. So something to think about. It's a card that I'm considering cutting, but at the moment it stays until I know for sure something better. And then on to more utility cards. Levier comes up for a nice combo. Down a Magician because it helps us get into Zeus. And then normally our rank 4 that we end on will be Redoer if we don't go into Dragoon. So we're going to see this a lot more often, I suspect, going forward. Really, really good for the grind game. Really good against trap-heavy decks. It deals with Dragoon as well because it's non-target and removal. So just a really good option. And then our final cards for our extra deck, Link Spider, just deals with tokens, deals with like all that kinds of other stuff. Appaloosa, it's kind of part of your standard combo. And when you're not going into Appaloosa because you're going second, you go into this instead and you kill your opponent in 1 turn. Extra deck otherwise pretty much remains unchanged and will do so going forward apart from Dragoon. Now on to the side deck. So this is obviously where areas could change a lot. I think Pancratops is mandatory for any deck. You need to go second option. This is just like the best one straight off the bat. Triple Lancia. I think this is going to be really important in the upcoming format changes that are coming up. A lot of people are also going to be playing the artifact package as a whole. Something you could consider. I don't have it in here yet, but it's something I'm definitely toying with. Triple Droll and Lockbird again. I think this is going to be super important for the upcoming format. We may even see this creeping into people's main decks, but for now it's in my side. And I think triple of it in the extra in the side deck, is absolutely mandatory. Back row hate. This deck can lose a lot of games to other back row decks. It just gets outdone by it because this is somewhere between like a back row deck and a combo deck. It's kind of a strange build. And a lot of the time you'll lose to just pure back row decks. You'll usually kill a lot of the combo decks, but the pure back row decks are usually your problem. Stuff like Paleo, stuff like Altergeist can be really, really hard to just win those grind games. So this back row hate is really important for those. We have 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. This was one that I was just trying out and really hasn't done all that much for me. It's one of those cards where it feels great when it goes off, but a lot of the time it just doesn't do anything. It's like, what would I rather play? You know, the better options that I could look at. Almost certainly, maybe even other hand traps would be better than this because they're live most of the time. For the new format, we could look at things like Token Collector, D-Barriers. For this particular deck, a lot of the time what the issues are that we have is when we go second and we play into unbreakable boards. So maybe stuff like Dark Rule or No More is an option. But Triple Tactics Talent was a great idea, but it doesn't really work that well in application from my experience. So it is what it is. And then our final 2 cards, Imperial Order and Red Reboot. I don't think there's much to say here. Again, back row hate. There's games where you know you can just OTK if you just stop them being able to activate traps, especially against those like super back row heavy decks, and this is just a win button. And then Imperial Order is a win button when you go first. The amount of decks that you play this against and like any interrupt just ends their game. Like it's absolutely insane. This card shouldn't exist anymore, but whilst it does, we're going to play it. So that is all for today's deck profile. Hopefully you guys have found this insightful and got some ideas about what I'm going to be doing after Burst of Destiny. Again, I'll be bringing you a profile as soon as I can, once I have all my changes in place and my early thoughts on that. And we'll continue to do so as the deck evolves throughout the format, so you guys can get some ideas on what you can do with your own builds or things you might want to try out. Thank you for making it this far into the video. You're one of the few ones who does. It's really important to me that people do make it this far. I do really appreciate it, and I do see it on those stats. It's not a very high number, but it's nice when you do. Now, if you are playing a new deck, or maybe you're looking for some new things for the new format, check out the channel sponsors, Jam Jam Cards UK. There is a link in the description, and if you use the code Rufioh15, you'll get a nice 15% discount off your order. Also, if you're someone who's a really big fan of the channel and you're looking to get some signed cards, do let them know if you purchase anything and you want it signed. It will add a bit of delay to your order, and we can't guarantee that the cards will be playable afterwards because, of course, they're altered cards, but we can get those out to you with no problems at all. Once again, thank you very much for coming along. If you haven't already, you should most definitely hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.